Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Angie the bookaholic. I hope all of you are doing great. Last week was really hectic for me. That's why I couldn't put out a video last week, and even the week itself was really busy and hectic. But that doesn't mean I didn't read. I did make sure that I had time to read. And I'm overall happy with how January turned out in terms of my reading. I did read all the books that I set out to, so I'm happy about it. So I want to start with this one, which is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. Now this book won the Best Thriller Award in the Goodreads Choice Awards. I'm so happy that this was my first book of this year because this was a banger. I mean, I loved it. So this is a literary thriller. It has multiple POV, multiple timeline. Usually it dizzies me, like if you have multiple timelines and jumping from one timeline to the another, which I love, but sometimes it can be a little bit dizzying for me. But this was not like that. I was enjoying every moment of this book, and each POV brought out something new, a new perspective, and it literally was new perspective of how we look at the things that is unfolding. Let me tell you what this book is about. So the book mostly is set up in this timeline of 1975, where in a summer camp which is run by this super uber rich family called Van Laar, and one of the girls goes missing. But the problem is, the girl that goes missing is Barbara Van Laar, the Van Laar's own family member. And so she is this young girl, 17 years old something, and she goes missing. And the crazy part is that several years ago, her brother also went missing and was never found, right? So we don't know what happened to him. The family, when the boy went missing years ago, was kind of acting strange. They called in the police very late, and the investigation was closed sooner than you would expect, and people had their suspicion on this family, right? Everybody thought something is wrong with this family. So the main POV, at least to me, was the POV of the mother of these kids who went missing, Alice. And she gets married into the family, and you see her journey through the family, how she gets adjusted to the family and their eccentric ways. And I really loved it, because when the final reveal happens, you actually are able to put things together and accept why things happen the way it happened. Anything I say more would be a spoiler, but I can only say that it's a brilliant book, written amazingly by Liz Moore. She has a real tact to write beautiful sentences, beautiful paragraphs, and draw you into the story. It was very atmospheric. You felt like you are in the summer camp, along with them doing the investigation. So if you're looking for a great thriller, but it will also stimulate your literary fiction side of your brain, then you should really go for this. So this is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, and I rated this, I think 4.5 or 5. No, I don't have any 5-star rating yet. I could have rated this 5, but I didn't, because for me, a mystery should have a mind-boggling moment of reveal, which would throw me out of my chair. That did not happen. One moment where you get this jolt of realization, right, or revelation, that did not happen to me. So maybe that's why I rated it 4.5. Now I remember. Yeah, that's the reason. So this is 4.5, which is high praise. Next up, I read The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. I went in with very average expectation, because I had hit and miss with Frida McFadden. Earlier, I know a lot of people hate her or do not like her. It can be a little bit of popcorn-y thriller and silly, but I really like the twist in this. And you give me a great, amazing hammer to the head reveal, and I am going to rate you 5. And this was so satisfying. I didn't see the end coming. So what is this book about? This is a book about a woman called, I have to see her name, Sydney. Sorry, that's her name. Sydney, she is in the dating pool. She is trying to find the love of her life and hoping that she will find it soon. And she's going on a date, and one of her dates, she meets this very creepy guy who keeps stalking her, following her, and she's it's reaching borderline abuse, right? Stalking, basically. But she has two amazing friends. Their names are Bonnie and Gretchen. She goes to yoga class with them, hangs out with them. Finally, she meets a very amazing guy called Tom, in a very, dramatic, cinematic way, but it was fun to read. And they become an item, Sydney and Tom, but he's very secretive. He's not ready to meet her friends. She finds out many things about him that makes her unsettled. Anyways, unfortunately, her friend Bonnie gets murdered brutally, really brutally, and the story picks up from there. And then strange things starts happening, and her boyfriend Tom starts acting mysterious, and she has her suspicion, because right around the time he comes, her girlfriend, her friend gets killed, and other things start happening. And there is another POV of this young boy who has very creepy, dangerous, and murderous thoughts in his head, right? He's a teenage boy, and we can already guess it's the teenage years of her boyfriend Tom's POV, and it's very disturbing. That he's a very dangerous person. This book was very deceiving, because I felt I'm very clever, I have it all figured out, until the actual final reveal happened, and I was like, oh, I was a fool. I didn't see this coming. So guys, this was also a 4.5 read for me, The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. Go ahead and check it out. Next up, another hit and miss author for me, which is Lucy Foley, and I read her The Midnight Feast. Some of her books I like, some of them not so much, but this one actually was good. It had many elements that I actually enjoy, but it wasn't as good as the other two books that I talked about. Again, this also has multiple POVs. It has multi timelines. Mainly it is about this woman called Francesca. She runs a hotel / resort kind of place. We can understand she's a snob, right? She's a rich snob, Francesca. Now, this place that she has built, this hotel with a lot of cabins and huts and all that, is next to a wood, which in itself is mysterious, and the locals have many folklore surrounding it, and many people claim to have witnessed cult-like activities, happening in the forest and being freaked out. So people do not take the woods lightly, they kind of respectfully fear it. And this is where she comes and builds her hotel or resort. So that's one POV, and then we have the POV of this guy or a boy called Eddie, who is her next door neighbor who wants a job desperately, and who joins, the crew of the hotel and starts working there. You have this woman called Bella's perspective, who we will find out that was Francesca's childhood friend and neighbor, who has some kind of grudge against Francesca, and she's there for revenge. So this is the setting. Lucy Foley does a great job in portraying this huge animosity and tension between the locals and this rich woman who came and acquired their land and forest and is building this business establishment for profit and bringing in outsiders and all that. So that conflict is really, really well reflected and well portrayed by Lucy Foley in this. One other thing I really enjoyed, which I thought might annoy me, is this Francesca's perspective, because she is this quintessential white woman going to yoga classes and crystal healing and all this new age hocus pocus, right? But her inner musings, the way she thought, the way she was thinking, was really amusing to read. This is how rich people think. It also laid the foundation of what is to come and how we should feel about what is to unravel. Everything is going fine, and suddenly, all of a sudden, tragedy strikes. Somebody uncovers a body in the woods. The police are called in for investigation, and we also see the POV of a detective investigator who comes in, which is also very crucial to the story or the plot line. Overall, a very entertaining read. I did not like it as much as I liked Boyfriend or the God of the Winds, the God of the Woods. I gave it a 3.5 stars. Yeah, it was a good, entertaining read. Next up, another great investigative thriller, but set in a fantasy world. So I read The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is another book that I really want to reread because there are so many elements of this that I want to annotate and mark. I didn't do much annotation. As you can see, it's not that much annotated. I was just flying through this book. I didn't have time to annotate. So maybe the second read will help me in annotating. So like I said, this book is set in a fantasy world where murders start happening. Actually, murders happen in a very gruesome way. Tree spouts out from the person, splitting them, smashing them, pulping them into pieces. That's how the murder happens. And an investigator is called in to investigate these murders. Her name is Anna Dolabra. She's kind of eccentric in her own ways, but she's very good at solving things. And she has an assistant called Denise Cole. And in this world, actually, people can be modified genetically. I don't know how exactly, but using magic, they can be modified. So this guy, Denise Cole, actually was modified so that his memory is flawless. So he has photographic or eidetic memory. So he is a good asset to an investigator, right? So basically we see how he used to go around the country solving these murders, because there are more than one murders and all of them seem to be linked, and it seems to be very political. This book has obviously magic, fantasy elements like leprechaun, then it has political intrigue, and it has the flair of a great investigative thriller. So what more could a girl ask for? Anything and everything that I need from a book. I gave this 4.5. I loved this book. So out of the 4 books that I finished this month, 3 of them I want to reread, but mainly 2. Yeah, I think I'll park aside Boyfriend. I don't think it qualifies for a reread, maybe, but yeah, these 2 definitely I will reread at some point in my life. To close off, I want to share with you the book that I'm currently reading. I couldn't finish it completely. I was planning to include this in January's wrap-up, but I didn't get time. Like I said, unexpectedly, last week was really busy for me at work. So I'm talking about this book, The Left Hand of Darkness. This is a science fiction, and boy, I'm enjoying it. This book, The Left Hand of Darkness, is my first Ursula Le Guin book, and I'm like beating myself up for not picking up her books earlier. What a beautiful writing. The story in itself is amazing, right? But this book's writing, its messaging, the things she is writing in this book about gender and sexuality really blew my mind. Basically, this premise is like this. There is this guy from the earth. He's an ethnologist called Genly. He goes into this world which is going through an ice age right now, and it's called the Gethin, or people just simply call it winter because it's always winter then. And the people there are androgynous, and they are normally neuter, but during certain periods of the month they become sexually active and they take the role of female or male. He gets drawn into the politics of this world, winter world called Gethin, and understands or tries to understand Gethanians, why they are the way they are. And I am still reading, so I cannot tell you how it ends, but so far it's mind-blowing and I am so engrossed in it. Hopefully I get more time this week so that I can finish this off and start my February reads as soon as possible. So those were the books that I read in January. I hope this video inspires you to pick up one of these and read it, and let me know what you think about it. Until next time, this is Angie signing off. Have a great week ahead. Bye-bye. Ciao.